Good afternoon, everyone. It's with a lot of pleasure that I'm here again on the OT301 Radio, this time as CAAT-Projects, and I'm Andrea Besse, and we have a few programs that we talk about important topics, and for this week I did decide to talk about the challenge of being undocumented in the city of Amsterdam. So I have invited another organization, Amsterdam City Rights, to come here, and we're gonna have Idaya in the first part and then Faisal in the second, that will explain us a little bit about their struggles, their issues, but also their achievements and how much Amsterdam have improved and can still improve to become an inclusive city. So how this will go, you are probably seeing us or via Facebook or in our page OT301.nl. On the page, the quality will be better. And also never forget to support the radio. That's after our talk will give you very nice music. So first of all, I will invite Idaya to present herself. And yeah, go Idaya.
Thank you very much. Like she said, my name is Hidaya Nampima. I'm a member of Amsterdam City Rights. I've been living in Amsterdam for a couple of years, to be precise right now. I think it's 3 years. I'm the member of the LGBT community. I'm an activist, and well, that's in brief about me.
But you are also representing Amsterdam City Rights,
Correct.
right? Can you explain us a little bit what is this organization about?
Well, Amsterdam City Rights was precisely formed somewhere around early 2018. Amsterdam City Rights is a collective of undocumented people, though also we have people who are documented who are really part of us. What is our goal? Amsterdam City Rights was basically formed to fight for the rights of undocumented people and to give it a voice. What do we really do? We bring on board almost everybody who is interested to carry on their voice to Amsterdam, to be able to present some of the issues that we are facing. Why are we really concerned about undocumented people? Personally, I have been undocumented since 2018 when my asylum procedure was rejected. How does someone really become undocumented? You become undocumented after you have sought for asylum and you get a negative. Getting a negative means the government of Netherlands has not granted you the status to stay. Though we also have undocumented people who are called Dublin claimants. I don't know if you understand what a Dublin claimant is. A Dublin claimant is someone whose original country of arrival in Europe was not Netherlands, and they fortunately find themselves in Netherlands. And then also when they try to ask for asylum, Netherlands rejects them simply because they were coming from another country. So there's a collective of many of us from different countries, like those who have been to Italy, Germany, Sweden, and so many others. So this is what makes an undocumented person. Though also we still have a group of people who have never asked for asylum and they find themselves in the Netherlands. So it's really a very big group, and I am the co-founder of Amsterdam City Rights. Why do I call myself this? Is because I have a voice. I know very many of my friends out there would really like to talk about some of the things they're experiencing, but they cannot really come out to talk because they are shy, they are scared, they are stressed, they are depressed, they have so much that is happening in their lives. Yes.
Thank you, because you already answered a few of the questions I will going to ask you. So one of them will be indeed what it means to be undocumented. And thanks so much for explaining, because also undocumented people is a very diverse group of people, right?
Correct.
They are all in very different situations. And if we also look into an intersectional approach, we can see that there is many other issues sometimes that it's only not the papers.
Right.
Although just the fact that you don't have the right stamp or you don't have the right paper really can make your life much more challenging, right? It really takes you so much of the basic human rights.
Right.
And I don't know if you want to tell us some stories, some personal stories, or trying to explain the ones that are listening to us, what this actually means, having not the right papers and living in Amsterdam, for example.
Oh, right. Well, with this, it comes with a lot of challenges, I would say. First, the fact that we are undocumented, Amsterdam tends to look at us as invisible people. We are not invisible, we are everywhere. The visibility is in such a way that we cannot really have access to almost all the facilities that we want to access to. I'll mention in this order. First, human rights are basic rights. That's why I'm really proud of Amsterdam City Rights, because we really try to advocate for the rights of everybody. Since human rights are basic rights, everybody deserves a dignified place they call a home. Amsterdam, being one of the richest cities, has not really comprehended to help undocumented people to have a place, because most of the time you are being pushed from one place to another. You are being told you have 2 months to leave this place, you have 3 weeks to leave this place. So the problem of housing to undocumented people is very huge. Secondly, the right to information and education. Once you have been denied asylum in Netherlands, there's really no right for you to seek knowledge. In knowledge, I mean that most of us are really educated. Like personally, I'm a graduate of electrical and electronics, but simply because I don't have papers, I cannot move to Philips or any other electrical company to look for a job. That's really, really hard. And besides that, the right to learn the language, the right to learn Dutch, it's very disappointing. For the 3 years I am here in the Netherlands, I can hardly speak Dutch, simply because there are no platforms that are really put for us people without papers to acquire knowledge. Thirdly, is about the right to owning a bank account. If I recall very well, my procedure ended within 4 months and I was not able to have a BSN number. Once you don't have a BSN number, you don't have a right to own a bank account. I mean, it's just a number that you can give to someone to have a right to own a bank account. Like digitally, and in the recent years, we find that mostly now, even in the tram, you cannot pay by cash. You have to use a card. So it's very challenging that you have your 10 euro, but the tram will not simply take you because you don't have a bank account. So if they make it a little bit flexible for everybody to have a bank account. The most pressing, the most painful, I talk with a lot of emotions because I personally I have gone through this. It's the right to health care. Theoretically and on paper, it's stated that everybody who lives in Netherlands can attain health care. This is not true practically. I know for a fact a friend of mine who had a toothache for almost 6 months, but she could not go to see the doctor simply because she doesn't have insurance. I think we really deserve to be called humans. We really deserve human dignity. We really deserve to be treated like people who are part of the Amsterdam community. And this can only be achieved if we are fully integrated into the activities, into the policies, into everything that happens in Amsterdam. The right to freedom of expression and the right to participate into politics. Like recently, Netherlands has just concluded their elections, of which we don't know who was voted in, we don't know who was voted out, we don't know who is on our side. I think it's high time that Netherlands and Amsterdam, to be particular, acknowledges that we are here and we need to fully participate into the policies that are supposed to govern us, into the politics that is surrounding undocumented people, into the politics that is basically trying to make the city move forward. Because you cannot talk about Amsterdam city rights, talk about Amsterdam and don't talk about refugees. You cannot talk about Amsterdam city rights and not talk about the voice. So precisely those are some of the most pressing things that we really cannot have as undocumented people.
Yeah, for me, this is a topic that is also quite personal. So since 2015,
Right.
I started working in Rotterdam, also with groups of undocumented people, and hearing these stories, even from the basic, simple things of just need to go to the doctor, or just something happens to you and you can not go to the police, or you cannot do anything, you can't buy any stuff, you can't sign a contract, and all your life becomes really complicated. And this is really something a bit very, very challenging for someone to actually be able to live like this. And the issue is also that we are not talking necessarily about 10 or 20 or 100 people.
Correct.
Just in Rotterdam, I know that 10 to 15,000 are on this situation in this moment. I don't know if you have any idea about Amsterdam. What are the numbers? Of course, no one really knows, but as an approximation.
There's really no correct number of undocumented people who are in Amsterdam, but I'll talk about the LVV program, which I am part of it. The Amsterdam put in place the LVV program for people without papers, those who are planning either to start a new procedure or those who are planning to return to their countries. In the program, we are 500, but comparing to what I see every day, comparing to what I know, we are like 10,000 or even more. The number is quite big, but there is really no statistics. We don't really have these numbers.
And also, just maybe to clarify, that no one stays on this position because they want. I mean, the whole procedure, the IND procedure for asylum seeker, is a very bureaucratic one, and a lot of people see their papers rejected, but does not mean that they don't deserve protection and they don't deserve asylum. And if people could go back, they would go. So they just really cannot. They have no other choice. So basically, is living here or living here, with papers or without, right? So because a lot of people ask, oh, so why they don't go back? I mean, yeah, unfortunately, we have very complicated situations all over the world, and people just don't have a choice.
Yes, I'll talk about this in like 3 different categories. When we have economic migrants, we have war migrants, and we have the political migrants. But most of the Dutch people really acknowledge that everybody who is here is an economic migrant. Nobody leaves home unless home is danger. Nobody leaves home unless home has really a big problem. Like, I don't know to some people, but it's very hard for you to know that your family members are so far away from you and you cannot talk to them. There's no reason as to why, because of just a particular kind of tabloid wrote about a particular country to generalize all refugees, all undocumented people. Some people are criminals. I also believe there are Dutch people who are criminals, correct?
Yeah.
Some people sexually molest women and boys, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that these kind of acts are only from undocumented people. This act is just an act of someone. So I've seen sometimes how the media tries to portray the image of undocumented people, which is very bad.
That was actually perfect, because that was my next point. So my next point was that words matter. So the way we talk about people really matters, right? And one of the things that we did at Format in Rotterdam, every time we got some newspaper or TV program calling someone illegal, we just wrote this poem, and we will send a whole letter with this poem to them saying no one is illegal. Because the fact that we call humans illegal is basically denying their existence and completely denying their rights, right? So today we are not talking about illegal people, because people cannot be illegal. Today we are talking about people without the right papers or undocumented people.
All right. I think I also forgot something. There's also a particular group of people, I really don't know how I can classify it, but it's called, they most times refer to them as statelessness. This is when you cannot really, like, personally, I'm from Uganda, I have a Ugandan passport, which is which is with IND, but there are people who cannot really prove that they come from Nigeria, they come from Ghana, they come from. So these kind of people have been in the system of IND, the most bureaucratic system, for years, because simply they don't have proof to show they come from these countries. Simply they cannot bring like birth certificates or baptism cards or whatever information they could get. Simply they cannot provide this kind of information. It puts them in a very bad position. There are people who have been here for 34 years, but because they cannot prove that they come from a particular country, they are called stateless.
Yeah, I do remember one story from one of our guys there in Rotterdam, and we were preparing this museum and we were writing some stories. So he was saying something like, I feel I'm in the middle of nowhere. I cannot go back, but I cannot go forward. So I'm just in this twilight zone, in this emptiness. And yeah, is how he feels for the last 30 years, that is actually here without the opportunity of study, of getting a job, of having a contract with the house. And then he's also living on this uncertainty that you don't know tomorrow, and you always have to be in this survival mode. That is also something that we cannot even imagine what it is, because for people that have papers like me, this is an experience that I fortunately never had to live through, right? So how is to live in this uncertainty?
Well, living in uncertainty is like having cancer, I would say. Because when you have cancer, you're not sure if you're going to get cured or not. Or sometimes it may just prolong your life stay on this planet. Living in uncertainty means you have to really depend on friends, which friends sometimes may not be reliable. You have to depend on people who have maintained status, or you have to depend on good Samaritans. Right? The survival mode is very, very hard, even to me, who is in an LVV program, when I can get a simple pocket change of 50 euros. With 50 euros, you have to depend entirely on this money for the whole week. If I may ask, do Dutch people eat 50 euro a week? They don't. So whoever designed all this was trying to help, but in a way, he's not really trying to help. I am lucky that I'm among the 500 who can at least achieve the 50 euro. But we have so many of our brothers who cannot even have 1 euro. I would say for a fact that where we come from, we are not really spoon-fed. We are told to work, to fend with our hands, right? If only Amsterdam would or the Netherlands would look into the opportunity of enabling every undocumented people to work. What does this mean? If we work, we pay taxes. If we work, we are able to pay for our insurance, right? If we work, we are able to contribute to the well-being of the city, correct? But because they look at us as dumb people, uneducated, insolence, I don't know how I can really describe it, but the best way to make use of us, because if someone has been here for 30 years and maybe they are 50, all these 30 years have been wasted. Why don't they make use of us? Why don't they make use of people when they still have the nerves? What's the point of someone staying here for 34 years and then you give this person documents when he's 65? He's less productive. And later, you're going to push him to, I don't know what kind of homes they call them. I don't really know the clear name. Because you have wasted their time. It's not that they really wish to be here without papers. It's because they cannot simply return to their places. That's why they are stuck here. So the best way is for the government or for the city to really use undocumented people and refugees to their full potential.
Very well said. And by the way, I did forget to tell you that in case you have any questions or for Hidayah or for Faisal, you can always write us a message on Facebook, or if you are seeing it from the website OT301, you can send an email to CAAT, that is CAAT projects @gmail.com, and then I will make the questions, okay? So coming back to our topic, and we were now focusing on the difficulties and on living on this uncertainty, but also on the stupidity of the system, because the system is a little bit schizophrenic. I could never really understand, but I know some people get asked for the police in the middle of the street. If they have papers, they don't, so they go to the detention center, and then after a few months they are released again, and this is all a system that makes no sense, but is also actually really expensive for the country itself, right? So you rather, instead of having all these systems into place, you rather just be a bit more humane and use this money, or even a very small part of this money, and actually invest on these people that are going to stay here no matter what.
All right. Oh, this is heavy.
This is heavy. Okay.
On the 19th of March, in the head parole, there's an article that is writing how they're going to start stopping people for no reason. For the 3.5 years I've lived in Netherlands, no policeman has ever stopped me. Having very great fear for the police, because where I come from, we are not very close to the police. We are not friendly at all. I was able to interpret a little bit about this article, whereby it's the police will be stopping basically foreigners without no reason, and I think this is discrimination. I think this is racism, because the areas where these people are going to be stopped are basically foreigners' neighborhood. What does this instigate in our hearts? It instigates fear. It instigates torture. It instigates psychologically an immoral way of acting. If we have been living with people for years without being stopped by the police, then why now?
Yeah,
what's the point?
And I guess also the color of your skin also matters.
Absolutely.
And the way that you address also
Absolutely.
matters. So.
To be precise, the areas where I know this is going to be happening is typically a black neighborhood. Where are we heading? I think we are heading backwards instead of forwards. So I believe there's kind of a stigma that is going to be created in the nearby future. I know maybe some police do not really want to do it, but then if it has been put even in the tabloids that they're going to stop you for no reason, I think this is torture.
And I hope that by now, if you didn't know about this situation, you are a little bit more aware of all the challenge that undocumented people go through, and also really understand that to be here showing your face and also be talking is really, really brave. So thank you so much for doing that, because it's definitely not a trivial thing. And I know that you are also a wonderful speaker, and you are always there in a lot of events, right, as well, making use of your voice, because you have a lovely voice that needs to be heard. So this is the last minutes with you, and maybe some, like, the message that you want to leave to the ones that are listening to us.
There are 3 messages that I want to leave to. One is about integration. It's very painful that for the 3 years I have been here, sometimes I feel very neglected and rejected. So there's really need for the Amsterdammers, especially because this is where I originate right now, to really accept me for who I am. 2, this I am appealing to the municipality, the Dutch government, please include us. Please, we are not going anywhere. We are here and we must fight. The 3rd thing is about how policies are made. For instance, most of the time they are discussing about undocumented people without us. We should always be included in whatever discussion is pertaining undocumented people or refugees. Because if you're not undocumented, you don't know my situation. So you make policies that you think are helping me, yet in reality they're affecting me. So the most important thing that I'm calling upon the government and the municipality to do is include us in politics, include us in policy making, include us in everything that you think is beneficial to us. Thank you.
Was perfect. I will not add anything more. Just thank you so much once again. And now we're going to leave you with a small video while we prepare here for the second speaker that will come to speak with us. And don't forget to send us your questions if you have. And we will have another 25 minutes with you very soon.
Nació del volcán, no le tiene miedo a nada, no. Apenas aprendí a caminar, me dejaron solita en la cascada. Voy metiendo mis piernas, yo me hundo en el musgo. Voy nadando en la tierra, voy juntando mis raíces. Se me juntan los brazos, las piernas, los hombros, los ojos, la nariz, la lengua, las sienes, el cráneo y la nuca la siento. No me toques la rodilla, no me pises las plantas, no me toques el párpado. Apenas aprendí a caminar, Me dejaron solita en la cascada.
Welcome back to our second part. We are here in the OT301 Radio that you can always support in case you can. And we are having a very nice conversation with Amsterdam city rights that also encourage the city to become inclusive and to also be accessible for people without papers. We had a lovely first part with Idaya, and now we have Faisal with us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And we're going to start asking you a few questions. Just to let you know that in the last minutes, we are also going to answer your questions. So you can just send your question to the Facebook message, or in case you are seeing from the website, send an email to CAAT-Projects at gmail.com. So Faisal, thank you so much for being here. Would you like to introduce yourself to the ones that are listening to us?
Thank you very much. My name is Faisal Iskandar. I've been here for 12 years. I'm from Indonesia, and I'm a president from IMWU. IMWU is an Indonesian Migrant Worker Union that mostly people help Indonesian people without document. But along the way, we have also Indonesian Indonesian people with document, like a nurse, like a student, something like that. And why we make IMWU is because some people in Indonesian people mostly they don't know the law here, so we connect to most of organization like a lawyer, politician, and the police.
Yeah, because it's not really easy, isn't it? When you come from a completely different country that has completely different rules and you come here, and I guess here is very tight in rules, so it has to be quite a complicated experience in the first times.
Yeah, that's true. That's true because for first time I come here, I'm really I watch every my move. You can say I'm like a cat that when I move very slowly. I think what should I do? What I gonna do? I don't want to make a problem with the other people, especially I don't want to make a problem with the police. So yeah, every move I counting and I check my possibility. I have a problem or not. So if I have a problem, I just move away from that situation.
Yeah, so actually the second part is about talking about being invisible. That sometimes, in a way, we want to be invisible because we don't want the police to know that we don't have papers. But on the other hand, it's not a proper way to live. And the video that you just saw was also one of the projects that we did at Format in Rotterdam. So we work a lot with shadow theater, and we really thought that the shadows would be really a metaphor. So in the city, there is a lot of shadows that the normal or the people that are in the city just do not recognize, but they are there, right? And do you feel invisible sometimes? Do you feel like a shadow?
Mostly yes. Every day in my life in Amsterdam, is mostly as a shadow, because when I clean the house without the people inside it before Corona happened, right? So when the owner of the house have a guest coming, they told me not to come because they afraid me. They have a problem with the authorities or something like that, or maybe are they ashamed with me with have me in there to clean their house. So mostly I am like a shadow actually, and then almost every day when I go outside, I pretending nobody want to see me. So I do take rule everything. Even I check the traffic all the time. You can see it if you with people without document. They always uh, 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 take the traffic light as a sign very very carefully.
Mm.
You can see it, and maybe some Dutch people just when the traffic light still red, they cross away. But for us, it's not possible. It's very very, you can say, secret to not cross the light, something like that.
Yeah, is a bit the funny thing about privilege. So when we have a privilege, we are definitely not aware that we have one. So just the fact that we can go by bike and sometimes cross a red light, or just look, no car is coming, and you can walk to a zebra or outside the zebra, that happens when you are actually not from the groups that are invisible, or the groups that can get really big consequences, right? This is the little things that never comes to our mind, but for the group with people without papers, that really matters in their daily life.
Yeah, it's really matter because once that we cross the line, we have a problem with the police, and the police will check our ID, and if we have a problem, then they deport us. So yeah, mostly we are just get catched by police because traffic light, or because we don't have a light in our bicycle.
Mhm.
That mostly people, Indonesian people, get catched by police only similar like that. So yeah, we try to minimize the problem so we don't get catched by the police.
Although you are quite brave, because you are now talking knowing that your image is being transmitted. So you are not being so careful right now, but it's for a very good reason, right? You do a lot of advocacy work as well, not only with your union, but also with Amsterdam City Rights.
Yeah, why I doing this? Because in 2010, many Indonesian people die in the bed because they're afraid with the police. They're afraid with the hospital. They afraid when they go to hospital, the hospital will call the police. So at that time, we make an organization and show to the other Dutch people that we are here, we are exist. But at the first time, nobody want to become a face of that organization. So everybody choose me, even I don't want to.
So you got forced to be the face.
Yeah, I'm
and
the
also
bad one.
today.
Yes, until now. Is a president in Imbu is a like a lifetime job.
It's a lifetime job.
Because nobody want to become a president of that organization because everybody is afraid to show in their face. But for me, I asked my lawyer. He say, "No, don't show it your face." But what can I do? If I don't do this, many people will scare. Many people will not get information.
Yeah, it's also a bit the question that we were speaking before, right? We cannot be talking about undocumented people or do policy for or about undocumented people without having undocumented people present. So indeed, it is very important, but is also a big risk indeed. And just before anything, thank you so much for doing this, because also ethically we were wondering what we should do, but it's very brave from you to be here and also tell your story.
Thank you. Actually, not only here I've been here. I also invited by the police station.
And you had a talk with them.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us that story? Sounds interesting.
Yeah, that in 2018, I think, some police station, a chief of police station invite warehouse, and warehouse asked me to be part of the program. Okay. I said, what happened if they know me? They said, no problem. We get saved by lawyer. Ah, yes, sure. But But then I think if they don't know me, they don't know our situation. They don't know
Yeah.
my situation. So, and that time when that program happened, I told every policeman, even the IND people, also that from immigration, they also coming. A little bit scared for me, a bit dumb, yeah. But and that time, one of the organization ladies take my hand because I shaking too much. I'm very nervous that time.
Can
Yeah,
imagine.
and imagine police, Amsterdam chief of police meeting me. So yeah, I'm very scared. But yeah, I try to improve myself. I brave enough myself and talk with them. And after that, more police knowing, understand our situation, and some police accept that okay, you guys here, but you don't get make a problem. That's fine for us because as long as you not make a problem, it's okay with the police. That in they talking like that. So yeah, so many uh, in that situation we get more help and we get knowing each other with the police, and also we have like you can say it's a agreement without the papers. Police know us, we know about the police, yeah, something like that.
But that is quite an interesting situation as well, isn't it? Because it's a little bit this social control thingy going on. It's like, okay, we know you are there, but if you really behave and you don't pass a light or something like that, we are not going to bother you, although they can still change their minds, so the power is still on their side all the time. And somehow people need to live in fear, and somehow people need to always take care of every tiny little step that you actually have to give. So yeah.
Yeah, because when we talk with the chief, they say, yeah, we are the top policemen. They understanding, but the grassroots policemen, they don't know about it, and sometimes they don't care about it.
Yeah.
So we still have to make a progress with the grassroots police.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
sir.
that is also a bit of the question, what we do now, right? So we know, like people like me, you, the people at Amsterdam City Rights, the people at Format, we all know a lot about the situation. We all want to do something and somehow we have to organize. But how can we really move forward? And what would be your advice for the ones listening as well? What can we do to make sure that undocumented people are not invisible?
Yeah, first thing first, knowing about us, talk with us. We don't bite, right? And secondly, when you talk with us, knowing that we are we have like a knowledge that maybe can be improved for it, maybe can be used here. I have one friend that he's just learning autodidact to make to fix the phone without he learning to school for that. So some people they have a talent that the government doesn't know about it. And the third one, maybe try to improve the regulation, because now the regulation is very get down to us. We cannot move very freely. Example is housing. For undocumented housing, it's like wow, it's a gold mine for us because we cannot rent, and we always rent under the table. We try to contact the maklar, and they say, yeah, we cannot rent it to you because if we rent it to you, we gonna have a problem with the government. So that's a problem.
Yeah, definitely the laws need to change. But one of the things, because we have one of the questions here, well, yeah, it's a bit of a question, is that while in Amsterdam, it seems that people are very well organized with We Are Here group, with Amsterdam City Rights, with your union as well. But in other cities in the Netherlands, although the numbers are also quite big, like in Rotterdam, for example, we do miss a little bit this organization. Do you have some tips for people in other cities, what can they do, or shall they connect with you, and how to do it in the sense of, like, how can we all raise a voice together and all together advocate for this changing in policy and in laws?
Yeah, but the first thing first, don't judge people by the skin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you talk with, look at them, don't just judge. Oh, this is a not good guy. This is undocumented. That is a problem. Talk with them. When you have a good conversation, you will open the road. You will see what they need, what you need, and then from over there, you will make a big improvement. Like in Amsterdam before, we afraid to talk about it. 2010, many people afraid to talk about it. But from over there, we make a union and we try to talk to everybody. Even we talk with the hospital, we talk with the lawyer, we talk with the police. Every month we invite the police to talk with us. So I mean, talk and recognize. From over there, we can make improvement for that city.
So we all should keep on telling the stories that we hear and keep on spreading the stories of people and their conditions of living. And
Yeah, but the problem is you need to talk first, Meet them, talk. We don't bite. Like I said before, we don't bite. Just talk. And from over there, we'll know, this guy is good or not, or this woman is good or not. From over there, you make a big bridge to connect.
so break all the stereotypes that sometimes is a bit hard, right? We
That's
assume
true.
a lot of things
Yes,
that we
that's true.
should not assume, but we do as human beings. Yes,
Yeah.
it's true. Any last message that you would like to leave to
Yeah.
the ones listening to us?
Yeah, Amsterdam is a beautiful city.
True.
And Amsterdam, I've been here for 12 years. I know Amsterdam is like a small world. In here, I knowing Mongolian, I knowing Thailand people, I know Tibetan people here. The one I never saw them,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw them here. So this is a small world. That's a small world make me big, make improvement. That small world can be help everybody, help each other, and don't show that undocumented people is useless people. No, we have a talent. Try. Maybe you will know what the talent we have. Don't ignore us. Just try us to talk with us and knowing what we have, and maybe we can open together. We can work together to make a city this a better city.
For sure. So the
Yeah.
invitation of openness first,
Mhm.
talk with people around,
Yes.
solidarity and teamwork, just
Yeah.
gather with other people, and also to be active and transform
Yeah.
Amsterdam into a better city. And humans are humans and people
Yeah,
are
that's
people,
true.
independent of the or not undocumented part, right? So
Yeah.
building together and having respect for everyone. That is the invitation we
Yeah,
leave
and,
this program with.
Yeah, that's true. Because when we do to talk with other, we introducing each other. Maybe in the future we can work together and make improvement that this city become a better. Many my members have a beautiful talent, but they're afraid to show it. So when they show it, maybe it's more income for the city.
Exactly. So we are losing a lot by closing doors and
Yes.
by repressing people that do not
Mm.
deserve it.
That's true.
Yeah?
Yes.
We leave it like this. So thank you again a lot to you, Faisal. Hidayah as well. Was great to have Amsterdam City Rights this afternoon with CAAT. Was great to be here at the OT301 Radio. Thank you a lot for receiving me again. And I'm gonna leave you now for a short break, and then will come a lot of good music and DJs for the next hours until 10 o'clock, right, in the evening. So it'll be a very nice afternoon. Sit, enjoy, and think about what we told you. So let's transform Amsterdam in a more inclusive city.